Alright guys, today we are going to get the boat. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of stuff. Alright, so today I'm going to go over the equipment that I'm putting inside the skiff. We're going to talk about the state required equipment, some personal stuff that I feel every boat should have, and then just some spare items that honestly are really good to have and can really make or break a day out on the water. First bit of safety equipment that we're going to talk about is the stuff that is required by the state. Now, this varies from state to state. So a simple, quick Google search to type in my case, Texas boater safety required equipment into your Google, and it should pop up. Now make sure you're using the list that is put out by your local Fish and Wildlife. That way you've got the most up-to-date and current list. So the first bit of safety equipment we're going to talk about is your visual distress signals. I got this kit, it's an Orion Locate Alert Plus. It has aerial flares as well as red flares, handheld flares, and orange smoke flares. Now it's important when you buy flares to make sure you take note of the expiration date on those flares. A good trick is to go ahead into your cell phone and make a reminder that will tell you when your flares are expiring so that you do not have expired flares on your boat. You can get in trouble for that with the local Fish and Wildlife. In terms of lighting, your boat is required to have nav lights on it. It depends on the type of boat, whether it's a sailboat, power boat. The next thing is your sound signaling device, whistle, horn, or bell. I have an air horn here, and these are pretty easy to find. You can find them in your local tackle store. Next, life jackets. I went with type 2 life jackets. The reason being, if your boat sinks and you're floating, these will help keep your head out of the water. If someone on your boat is unconscious, it'll help them keep their nose and mouth above water and breathe. I highly recommend buying some cheap little whistles and tying those on there. That way everyone has their own sound signaling device. Also, go ahead and write the name of your boat as well as probably some phone numbers on there. Now, I haven't put phone numbers on this stuff yet because quite frankly, I don't want all you guys knowing my phone number. I'm sorry. Texas requires any boat over 16 feet to have a type 4 throwable device. So here's mine. And you guys probably noticed that I'm getting a lot of stuff that's orange, and that's because it's highly visible. Again, name of the skiff as well as my name, and I'll probably go in and write my phone number on it in a little bit. Lastly, the state of Texas requires you to have engine cutoff switches. Now, I went ahead and got this lifeguard lanyard, which gives me a lot more room to move around my skiff while I've got the engine running. That being said, I do have a secondary cutoff switch, which I will keep on the boat. That way, if I fall off the boat while I'm operating, someone else can quickly grab this one, plug it into the motor, and come and pick me up. The last little thing in terms of safety equipment, I got a Mustang Survival Auto Inflate PFD, Type 2 PFD, and this is for whenever I'm operating the skiff and I'm on it by myself. That way, if something happens to me and I fall off the boat, it will automatically inflate, and if I'm unconscious, it'll go ahead and it'll turn me over so that I can keep breathing. If you're operating a boat by yourself, you should definitely have a life jacket on. Now, another piece of state required equipment is a fire extinguisher. Now, this one is mounted in this rear compartment. You need to look at the state requirements because they vary depending on the size of your boat, the type of machinery your boat has, and whether or not it has fixed firefighting systems on it. Another thing you need to do is once a year, pull this out, inspect it, and make sure it looks like it's in good working condition. The local game wardens can ticket you for not having an extinguisher if this does not look like it works. So keep that in mind. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna talk to you guys about is dock lines and an anchor. For dock lines, I went with 4 3¼ inch nylon braided line. Now when it comes to dock lines, when it comes to how long they should be, the general rule of thumb that I operate by is you want your dock lines to be longer than your boat. I realize that probably sounds like overkill, but if you have to dock up and you have a squall coming down on you, you're going to want to be able to double up lines. You're going to want to be able to run long leads so that you can make sure your boat is super secure. Now for an anchor, I went with an 8.5 pound Danforth or Fluke style anchor with 6.5 feet of chain and 100 feet of 3-strand nylon line. Now one of the things that I would recommend doing is with your shackles, go ahead and make sure you mouse your shackles, especially if they are screw pin style shackles. The last thing you want to have happen is one of your shackles to come undone. Another thing to think about with your anchor line is it can also be used as a tow rope. Again, same thing for your dock lines and having longer dock lines. Between these two things, I know I can tie up a towing bridle if I need this skiff to get towed. I don't have to worry about whether or not someone who's coming to help me has what I need to get towed in. So the last little bit of stuff that we're gonna talk about is just spare stuff, extra stuff that I really think that you should have on your boat. Stuff to consider and think about. Working in the merchant marine, you're kind of taught to be prepared for any and every situation, and honestly out there in the middle of the ocean there is no help. So I kind of prepare myself whenever I go out on the water, whether it's on the icebreaker or whether it's on this skiff, that I'm gonna have everything that I need to survive any situation. So that being said, first things first, first aid kit. Now this is just an Adventure Medicals kit, Mountain Series. One of the things that I love about these kits is that they are super organized and they're super easy to understand what's going on inside the kits. The back of them has a list of everything that's in there. The only thing I'll say with medical kits is if you're using stuff, make sure that you're getting back to the dock and you're putting whatever you used back in there, so keep them stocked up. Some other things with first aid and emergency is if you don't carry cutting dikes with you regularly, it is a good idea to take a pair, vacuum seal them, and keep them with your first aid kit. The reason being, if someone gets a hook caught inside of them, these things will just cut the tip off and you can get the hook out a lot easier. Alright guys, the next thing that I want to talk to you guys about is communication. Now when you're out on the water, most places you should be able to use a cell phone, but it is always a good idea to have a VHF radio. This is a Standard Horizon HX210. It is a floating handheld radio. It's got a clip. I can promise you that if I'm on the water by myself, it will be clipped onto my person. That way if I fall overboard, I can call for help. Another reason you should carry a VHF radio is it is a lot faster means of communication with the United States Coast Guard and with any kind of towing service that would be coming to help you in any situation. Highly recommend having one of these with you. The next thing is something like this. This is a Garmin InReach Explorer. Now I've used this in the mountains. I've got a buddy who takes this thing to Antarctica and it works down there. The great thing about these is they can send your position at whatever time interval that you choose. If you're in an emergency, you can just hit this SOS button and it will notify the local authorities that you're in trouble and it'll start getting rescue to you. Also, it's a GPS, so you can use it to keep track of where you're at. Alright, the next kind of things in my kit that I like to keep on the boat, headlamp. Flashlights are great, your phone has a light, that's great, but more times than not, you're gonna need both hands, so having some form of a headlamp on the boat is gonna be really good for that. Another thing to keep in mind is if you're gonna have any kind of light that uses batteries, to make sure you carry spare batteries on board. Speaking of spares, spare boat plugs. Now, this skiff requires 2 boat plugs. I'm gonna keep 2 spares on the boat as well in my ditch kit. And the reason for that being is 2 is 1, 1 is none. So it's a good idea to make sure you have a spare boat plug, because without a boat plug, your boat sinks and then you have to use your radio to call the Coast Guard. Also, along the lines of tools and equipment, some form of multi-tool is a good idea. I really like this SOG one because it can take bits inside of it, which will allow me to work on any kind of mechanical issues if I need to. I also like to keep a lighter with me, and I tend to wrap my lighters in duct tape, which this will give me a good 30 feet of duct tape if I need it, and we all know that duct tape fixes everything. Lastly, some things that can make or break a day on the water. A spare buff. This will keep the sun off of you. If you forget one, now you've got one on the boat. You don't have to go back home, and it'll make your day a lot more enjoyable. I would like to take it and vacuum seal it. Just make sure this will help keep it dry. And I can just leave it in my bag and I don't have to worry about having a wet buff. Spare sunscreen. I like to keep a small tube of sunscreen with all my spare equipment, just in case I decide to forget my sunscreen in the truck, which, to be honest, I do a lot of. Spare sunglasses. I like to keep a spare set of sunglasses on the boat in case somebody loses them, in case somebody forgets them. Especially fishing, you're gonna need them. So make sure to have a spare set on board. Rain gear. Summertime, I'll just throw an extra rain jacket on the boat, even if it's not calling for rain. Wintertime, I'll also throw rain pants on the boat. And honestly, having rain gear can make or break a day, and it can really keep you from having a miserable cold boat ride home. Now, the very last thing that we need is something to put all this in. Obviously, it's not all gonna fit in the same thing, but I recommend some form of a dry bag. Hard cases work too. The reason I like dry bags is you can contain air in them, roll them up, clip them, and then they float, which if your boat goes down, you want as much stuff floating around you as possible to become a bigger target for your rescuers to see. So that's why I went with a orange dry bag. And again, went ahead and put my name on it. Now, it looks like that's all the stuff I've got. So I guess time to load the boat up. Well, that's it. Boat is packed and ready to go. So now we just need all of this rain to stop. But like that video. Hey, let me know in the comment section any other gear that you guys use that you find really helpful and can really make or break your day out on the water. Let me know down below. Hit like, hit subscribe. Hopefully this rain's gonna stop so we can finally get this boat in the water. And I will see you guys next week.